אני יניב ריבלין, יזם, סופר ומרצה, ומאמין ביזמות כדרך חיים. בכל פרק נשמע מאנשים מיוחדים ומגוונים על הטיפים שלהם לנווט את הדרך להצלחה. כי החיים הם סטארט-אפ. חברים, איזה כיף שאתם פה איתנו. אנחנו נעשה את הפודקאסט הזה עם נאס דיילי באנגלית. אז אני אתחיל ואני מקווה שתהנו מההאזנה.
אני מסתער שאני חייב לדבר באנגלית. עברו מזה 10 שנים שלא דיברתי עברית, ואני מסתער לכל אזרחי ישראל. אני מבין את הכל, אבל זה קצת קשה לעשות שיחה כאילו מלאה בעברית, אבל אני אחזור בשנה הבאה ונעשה את זה בעברית, אוקיי?
מדהים.
דיל.
אני מאוד מתרגש. קבענו.
קבענו. My goal. It's my goal in
מדהים,
life.
ונעשה את זה גם בג'ורג'.
Yes, at the George.
יפה.
That we'll do before next year.
Madam, we'll do it before. I love it. So, Nas, I'm going to say a couple of words about you. So, Nusay Al-Yassin was born in the village of Arabe in northern Israel, but today is known as Nas Daily, a global content creator who has built an empire with over 70 million followers on social media. We'll uncover the person behind the videos and explore how he created his unique style and impact. So, Nusay, it's great again to have you. We've been knowing each other for over 15 years now.
Before Nas Daily, Yanni.
Before Nas Daily.
We've had a great time when you both and I were nothing.
Exactly.
Just students.
Exactly.
That was fun.
Those were the days.
Those were the days, but you know, those were the days.
And we'll talk about it. But
These are also the days.
These are also the days. Yeah. And I want to go even before our time at Harvard together and go back to the start. As a child, what did you dream of becoming? You grew up, again, in Arabic.
It's a very easy question. Astronaut.
An astronaut.
We all wanted to go to space. My dream has always been to go to space. I still want to go to space. I want to be an astronaut, so much so that I studied Russian. I studied like the Russian alphabet because there was only one place where you can go to space, which is at Kazakhstan space station. And then a reality hit. Funny you asked that question. Reality hit, and I was like, oh shit. The only Israeli that went to space is a former army personnel and a scientist, right? Ramon, right?
Yeah, you don't know Ramon.
Yes, and great. I mean, it was so inspiring. But then I realized I cannot go to space through that route because it's very difficult for me to be trusted in the Israeli army. It's very difficult for me to get any further in Israel's system. So I have to get rich and buy my ticket to space instead of earning it.
And are you going to buy your ticket to space? Do you still is that still a dream that you want to put into action?
I'm on the wait list already. You know,
you're on the wait list?
Yeah, I'm willing to pay. Like with the minute they say pay or whatever the amount is, finally I can afford it, and we're gonna go.
Amazing. There was another astronaut Israeli that actually paid his way. Like
oh really?
Stiva, Eitan Stiva.
He paid who though?
He paid, I think it was through SpaceX to create it, but I don't remember how that happened. But now we can make it happen. The world has changed.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
And talk a bit more about your growing up in Arabe. How was it? Did you wanted to be an astronaut? Did you feel that you would become who you are today?
Look, we're having a nice podcast. You cannot really be somebody that you're not. Like, we're gonna go full honest, okay? How was it like growing up? It sucks. There we go. That's the truth. It sucks. How's it like growing up in a village? It sucks. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I've always, since I was 10, I was like, man, like the center of the universe is in Silicon Valley. It's in New York, Hollywood. What the hell am I doing in this village? And I'm not even in Tel Aviv. And in Tel Aviv, I'm not even wanted. Like, this sucks. Period.
And full stop.
Full stop.
And was there a moment that changed? What was the moment that shifted?
That it didn't suck?
That it didn't suck anymore.
Oh, it never changed.
Never stopped.
It always sucked.
When you go back
nothing against the people, to be clear. I love my family. I had a really nice upbringing, a really nice childhood. But I just didn't feel like I was born in the right place. I want to be born where the action is. So it never stopped sucking, unfortunately. But again, nothing against the people. It's a small village.
And then you, at the age of 19, you applied to Harvard.
I applied for my escape plan.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just apply for Harvard. I applied for escape plan. How do you escape your reality?
How did you even know that's a possibility? Growing up in Arabe, the escape plan. Like how do you plan an escape plan?
That's a very good question. How do you plan an escape plan? That's the thank God for Google. I'll tell you that much. Thank God for Google. Like, you write on Google, you say, study abroad or study or like Harvard scholarship. And then you know that you can actually apply to US universities and get a scholarship for it. So I think the internet has really opened my mind.
I think that's a very good point because I want to tell people that are watching us, like Harvard, for instance, has a blind admissions
Nobody knows
policy.
this.
Nobody knows it.
Yeah.
And blind admissions means that if you apply, they don't look at your financial record. And most people don't know it, but like Israelis, over 95% of them would get a full scholarship
100%.
to Harvard.
100%.
So I encourage you all that listen, like take advantage of those things.
Did you get a scholarship?
I got a scholarship. I got
Oh.
a full scholarship, a different one.
Who
But,
paid for it?
E. David Fishman Scholarship from the Jewish community of St. Paul, Minnesota.
What?
Yeah,
That is highly specific.
yeah.
The Jewish community of St. Paul, Minnesota. How did you even get connected to them?
They gave one scholarship a year for Israelis in the Ivy League to study political science or economics. I applied. It's actually an interesting story because I think it talks a lot about you. I got into Harvard. It was my dream. I didn't come from money, similar to you. I
Yeah.
grew up 20 minutes from you,
Yeah.
up in the Golan Heights.
Yeah.
And I met Megan, a girl that was with me in
What's the name of
Canada.
the city, the town?
Katzlin.
Catherine, yes,
Yeah.
of course.
And then basically she told, like, I talked to, again, Megan connected me to Uri, her friend, because I had to get a scholarship, who told me about this scholarship. E. David Fishman from St. Paul, Minnesota, a place that I never heard of
Oh my God.
before. Apply. So I applied to that scholarship. One Israeli gets it a year. Dan Mogelson, the head of the scholarship, calls me back a week after, tells me, Yaniv, get on the WebEx. Do you remember WebEx?
Yes.
Of course, WebEx is what Zoom was.
Yes.
I said, okay, Dan, I can get on the WebEx, but can I come to you? 24 people were fighting for the scholarship. Can I come to you and do the interview?
No.
He said, never have in the history of the scholarship has anyone asked that. But if you want, pay your way here and come to the interview to St. Paul, Minnesota.
You went to St. Paul, Minnesota?
I went to St. Paul, Minnesota. I paid $480. I stayed in a Motel 6 because I didn't have money. Paid $19.99. Minnesota in December, you know how cold it is.
Yes.
I got to the interview and I got that scholarship. So I got the
That's
full scholarship.
crazy.
I got a return of investment of like over 200x. And the reason I called my book, by the way, it's a great question, Live Like a Startup,
Yeah.
is because most people live like WebEx. They tell them to get on WebEx, they get on a WebEx. But as you know, and you
Most
did it
people live like WebEx. That's great.
throughout your career, like there's always a way.
Yeah.
You got to just find the way.
That's so crazy story. One, you have to make a video about it.
I would
And
love
put
to.
it on social media. The flight ticket that I got 200x return on, whatever.
I love it.
The most important flight ticket of my
If
life.
you if you share it, we'll do it.
Yeah. I'll share in stories. It has to be in English. But number two, you also don't know this, but my story is actually very similar to yours. Somebody came to my village to teach English. An American Jewish family from Ohio came to teach English. They taught English to like 100 students. I was the only one who actually went there and said, hey, let's be friends. Let's be pen pal buddies. I stayed in touch with that family, that Jewish family that
Wow.
came to volunteer and teach English in my village. I stayed in touch with them as pen pal buddies for a year. And then one day they said, do you want to come visit us in Ohio? And I also said, yes, I'm coming.
Amazing.
And said, you have to buy your own flight. And I did buy my own flight.
Wow.
And then I landed in Dayton, Ohio to a Jewish family. I stayed there for a month and I was about to come back. And then they said, by the way, our son goes to Harvard. I'm going to buy you a plane ticket to go to Harvard to check it out for 2 days.
Wow.
And I said, thank you. I'd love to go. And the minute I landed, I realized these guys are not geniuses. They're just like you and me. Like we're all dumb. Like we're all just normal human beings thinking about dating and life and whatever. And it's like, okay, Harvard is attainable. It is possible. So I flew back to Israel and then I just applied.
I never heard this story.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
amazing story. And it's,
Yeah.
I talk a lot about it, and I think it's already like, but it's all about in the end, people, community, and experiences.
Yeah.
And that is a true testimony
Yeah.
to that, because it was that person, family,
Yes.
who put you into their community,
Yes.
who created that experience for you to go to Harvard.
Yes.
You saw that it's possible.
Yes.
People don't have that even ability to think it's possible.
Yes.
And you made it into a reality. Do you
Yes.
think you would sit here now if you wouldn't have had that escape
100%
plan?
No. 100% no. I'd be back in the village. I would not be here. It's insane. and I owe so much to that Jewish family in Dayton, and that was the first time I made a Jewish friend after 19 years in Israel. Can you imagine that? I
Wow.
had no Jewish friends. My first Jewish friend was an American from Ohio, and then my second was Zaki, who is basically my first Israeli Jewish friend, who I met at Harvard.
This is a mutual friend and amazing human.
Amazing human. Zaki Jamal, investor, VC investor, incredible human. Yeah, and that was my first exposure. If you want to talk about religion, my first exposure to Jews. Think about that.
19 years it took.
Yes, 19 years it took.
And I think though after that, which is interesting also about the journey, it's a lot of serendipity, as in things didn't fall on you. You created them.
Yes.
And I think that's an important
Yes.
caveat to put out there.
Yes.
When people come, you got to create your own destiny. Things that don't just come to you.
They do not just come. Even with 70 million followers, things don't just come. Like, I feel like I still need to push a rock up a hill to make things work. Life doesn't get, some parts of life get easier, but it still is hard.
The book "Live Like a Startup," which I wrote, I had the honor of asking you to write a chapter about.
I had the honor to be asked to write a chapter.
Thank you. It's about advice for entrepreneurs and how to build your life.
Yes.
I believe innovation is a way of life, and everybody can be an entrepreneur in different fields.
Yes.
And your chapter there really stuck with me, and the heading was we are more than just numbers. Can you share what that means to you? Because, by the way, it influenced so many people that I had a chance to meet with.
It's so sad when I wanted to apply to colleges in Israel. Your psychometry number, your bagrut number, that is the main thing that defines your life. If you get a 700 and above in psychometry, you can study medicine. If you cannot, then good luck. I was like, are you kidding me? The last time we put numbers on humans, it was the Holocaust. You do not put numbers on humans, not as a tattoo and not as a grade and not as a whatever. We should try not to do that, because I think a lot, we kind of reduce who we are as humans. So I hated that. I hated that with a passion. And that's why I did not want to study in Israel. I said, I am more than a number. And I didn't want to study in Europe, because Europe is also numbers. Africa is numbers. Latin America is numbers. Australia is numbers. The world's universities are all numbers based, except the Ivy Leagues. And the Ivy Leagues in America ask you about, what's your dream? What do you want to do when you want to grow up? That's kind of cool,
And you said already there that you want to change the world through technology.
I did say that. I did say
when you were 19.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a consistent lifestyle. I mean, I don't change my T-shirt for 8 years, but I also don't change what I want to do for the last 15 years.
And by the way, on the more than just numbers, I think it's horrendous the way the education system works. I think
in Israel, right?
Yeah, in Israel, because, by the way, I got 542 on my psychometry, average grades.
There you go.
בגרות בינונית, 3 יחידות מתמטיקה, and I didn't get accepted into anything.
Oh my God.
By the way, my GRE that I did for Harvard was probably the lowest one that anyone ever got into Harvard.
And my SAT score at Harvard was also the lowest.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
When I got my SAT scores, I cried, because I was like, there's no way I could get in.
Me too. I looked at my GRE and I said, they're not going to accept me. But both you and I assume, our essays,
yes,
our recommendation letters, that's what got us in.
That's exactly what got us in.
And I think both of us did okay in life, more or less. And it's because we're more than just numbers. We are humans. And the way the Ivy League looks at it is you're a holistic human.
But do you still get in trouble for your grades from 20 years ago? Not in trouble. Do you still get looked at differently?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
And then it was embarrassing.
Because there's a stigma.
It's a stigma. It's a stigma. And that's what I try to tell people. And every talk I do, you're more, and I reference you.
Oh, I love that.
Because we're more than just numbers. And yes, numbers is a part. It's a part of it.
Yeah.
But we're holistic humans. I think here, for instance, the things that you do in life, where you grew in the village of Arabic taught you empathy
Yeah.
in a way that you would never, anyone could get that.
Yeah.
So
Now I understand why you put it as the first one, because it really relates personally to you.
totally.
It makes
And
total
it talks
sense.
about my upbringing in the Golan Heights, which was similar to your upbringing
Yeah.
in Arabic.
Crazy.
So Harvard, you said you had that. So it's interesting because you said you've known it for a while, and you even wrote in your essay that you're going to change the world through technology. But after Harvard, you started your career in banking,
No, not banking.
in
Well,
similar
fintech.
fintech
Yes.
numbers, whatnot.
Yes, numbers.
But then decided to leave that and travel with a video camera. How was that time in the fintech?
I mean, horrendous. I was overpaid.
And why did you do?
underworked.
And why did you go in there? Was it because of the?
It's the only job I could get. It's the only job I could get. After graduating from Harvard, I applied to like 50 places and I could only get one job. And that was just like so annoying because also then you're also a number. You want to apply to JP Morgan, you got to have GPA 3.8 and above. All right, I had like 3.6 or something. It was like, okay, crap. And then I made it to one job, which I got because of the founder basically exercised veto. And he said, let this guy in. I like this guy. He's more than just a number. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
That same guy, Ikram, the founder of Venmo, he gave me my first job. He gave me my first investment in Nas Daily, and he introduced me to my now girlfriend and future wife.
Oh.
So that same person has like really changed. And that Jewish American family, that guy is Muslim from Sri Lanka.
Amazing.
So it's incredible how like, there's some people that like really help you a lot. Anyway, at the corporate job, we should all be angry. What I want people to understand from this podcast, كلنا خايفين لكايس. Is that correct?
Lichos.
Lekos. God damn it. This is why I don't speak Hebrew. Lekais. We all should be angry. We should be angry at the way the education system is functioning. And then once we graduate, we should be angry at the way the corporate system works. The corporate system sucks. You're underpaid. I was overpaid, underworked. Most people are overworked, underpaid. I mean, there's just a lot of problems with the corporate system, and I didn't want to be part of it.
I agree. And you understood it, and you took that step, and you took that video camera and said, okay, I'm leaving. I'm going for 1,000 days. When did you first fall in love with a camera?
I never fell in love with a camera. I am not in love with a camera now. I hate cameras. I don't know how cameras work. Like this DSLR, if you give me this, I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do with it. Like I know how to click record. Camera, DSLR is not the passion. The passion is humans. And the way to reach the most number of humans in the shortest amount of time is through video. If there's a faster way, I'll do that.
So that's a tool. In a way, it's a tool. And I think people should ask themselves a lot of times, like, okay, this is a very interesting point because you're saying, okay, a camera, I don't love it, but I know that through a camera, I'm optimizing the best to get to what I need. And sometimes, like for me, scooters was the same thing. I never rode a scooter in my life, but I understood that through a scooter, you can get to places.
The fastest.
It's the fastest and
exactly
easily.
It.
And so when you ask yourself what you're optimizing for, maybe some things that don't look trivial to you are the ones that are your best routes to take.
And that's why internet is amazing because it is the fastest way to do things. And that's why my next fastest thing is after videos is technology. So that's why I'm like doubling down and building Nas.io, the technology platform, because that's the fastest way to reach scale. All you and I care about is scale. SCALE. What is that in Hebrew?
Scale? That's a good question. Not minuf. I'll think about it.
You don't know the word in Hebrew?
I don't know the word in Hebrew.
Wow. How do you scale something? How do you make it bigger?
למנף, להרים, להעיף קדימה.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. See, that Hebrew's hard.
Tell me about like the first videos you did, because you, if I remember correctly, the videos took off. They didn't take off on the first day.
Not at all. Not at all. The first 270 videos failed. And I did videos every single day for 1,000 days. Why did we say 1,000 days? Is because perfection is the enemy of progress. If you say, I'm going to make a video whenever I feel like it, you will never make a video because it is never perfect. You must launch imperfection. That is the message of Nas Daily.
In life, in life in general. By the
In
way,
everything.
it's true for everything.
Everything.
Don't try to get to perfection because you're never gonna launch.
You're never gonna launch, and there's no such thing as perfect. So I uploaded a video every day for the first 270 days, and then video number 271 just blew up, and then it went from it used to get a 10,000 views on a video, and then 271 it was 30 million views. That's the beauty of scale of the internet. One day you're nothing, the next day the world talks about you. That is the only thing that's possible using the internet.
But I also think that you were consistent.
Yes.
You didn't stop, even though what was the number again? The
271.
You did it for 271 days.
Yeah.
It didn't take off.
Yeah.
But, and I remember you when we met throughout those 1,000 days, you were like, I'm doing this video every day. Like that was the thing. You didn't get, how do you create that mindset of not giving up? Did you see that? Did you know in your mind that it's going to explode?
So you know what? Nothing is special about my mindset and consistency. Nothing. So let me introduce you a little bit to the world of Muslims. Okay. There is 1 billion Muslims in the world. One of them is my mother. And then my mother, for the last 30 years, she wakes up at 5 a.m. every day. No matter what happens, she showers and she prays every day, 5 times a day. For 30 years. Now, have you tried praying 5 times a day? If you fart, you have to clean again. If you go to the bathroom, you have to clean again. And if it's cold, you still have to put water on your body. It is hard to be Muslim that is devout. Yet my mom does it for 30 years. Right? Now, I don't do it. I'm not religious. But now let's talk about that. Why does she have that consistency? Does she have anything special? Do the 1 billion religious Muslims have anything special? They don't. They just consider it a religion. That's it. So what I did is I considered Nas Daily a religion. This is my religion. This is a religious commitment. And every day I am almost like praying, but I'm creating a video. So ask yourself, the religion doesn't have to be the Talmud or the Tanakh or the Bible or whatever. Religion can be something you make up in your mind and you follow it like religion.
That's great. That's great advice. I think it's understanding that I'm doing it. And I'm doing it, and I'm following it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that can create the change. What do you have advice for like content creators that are coming into the space now?
Oh, now. So now is like, look, it's getting more competitive. I must say, it's getting more competitive, but we're still at the beginning of the journey. I think in the future, everybody is going to be a content creator, because just like how today everybody has money, like everybody has some money in their bank account, whether it's a lot of money or little money, everybody has money. That's called financial capital. In the future, everybody is going to have social capital. You need social capital. Whether you're a company, a government, or an individual, you need social capital. So, in the past, it was just like your friends and your contacts on your Instagram, on your phone. Now it's going to be the number of followers on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever. You need to develop that, because that's going to be how people decide to trust you. And I know people say, no, there's more to life than social media. I agree there is, but social media followership or let's say presence on the internet is a signal of trust. We as humans trust somebody with 1 million followers a lot more than somebody with 100 followers. That's just the way humans are wired. This person got the approval of 1 million people, so I trust him. You need to develop that trust engine. So this is part of the reason why I'm coming to Israel now, is to launch 1000 Media, which is essentially an agency that helps companies, brands, governments build that trust engine. And you need to make 1,000 pieces of content in 1,000 days. That's why it's called 1000 Media, to be able to develop that trust. Everybody needs a trust engine.
Everybody needs a trust engine. I love that. And the company is super, super exciting. By the way, we'll talk more now about like maybe October 7th.
Okay. That's an interesting.
Because no, you're opening up the company now
Oh yes, because related. Yes,
in Israel.
yes,
It's a unique time.
yes. Very unique. Time.
And how do you feel about opening it now in Israel?
You want the truth or half the truth?
I only want from you the truth.
All right, let's go. So October 7th happened, and I'm not living in Israel. I'm not living in New York, which is basically Israel. I'm living in Dubai, which is the Middle East. It is the Middle East. Like 30 minutes away in Qatar is Hamas, right? So like you're like, okay. Let's just say it was not fun. We lost a lot of money. We lost a lot of brand deals. We lost a lot of, inside my team, there's a lot of problems. It just was not a good time for anybody.
And that was also because you came out on October, right?
Yes.
October 7th or 8th,
Yes.
saying
Whatever needed to be said is the responsible thing to say. A lot of my creator friends were like, okay, my audience tells me I should say free Palestine. Okay, so free Palestine from the river to the sea. I was like, you fucking idiot. What you really need to do is free Palestine from Hamas. That's what you really need to do. But the average creator, for lack of a better word, is irresponsible. I didn't want to say idiot. Is irresponsible. Or let's say does not know enough, especially if they're a creator in the Middle East or America or whatever, or if they're too woke. So that was irresponsible take of them to make it look like, oh, yeah, just stop the war, and then everything will be fine. It will not be fine. So because we took the unpopular thing, we lost a lot of things. And this is when I started to think, what do I do with Israel? Of course, I'm Israeli. What do I do with this, my connection to Israel? Do I just sever that connection? Do I cut it and just become an American and become a Singaporean and just like move on and focus on business and life and fame? Or do I just double down on this thing called Israel? And I'm like, fuck it, let's go. So we're doubling down on this thing called Israel. So I'm doubling down on it like, this is who I am. This is my identity. This is my country. You like it? That's great. You don't like it? I don't really give a shit. We're building a company here. We're investing money here. Israeli talent, Israeli potential is amazing. For me, honestly, this is a middle finger to everybody out there who thinks Israel should not exist.
I love that. Did you have any hesitation doing it?
I thought about it for a month.
For a month.
Yeah, I mean it's hard because you will lose something. You will lose a lot. But now I'm feeling very good about it.
I'm happy for you, and I'm excited for the company and everything to be done here, because I think you can and should have a huge impact on Israel. And I think you're a leader that should help build this country.
Thank you. And, we should do it together. I mean, this is just the beginning. I think we talked about this. We'd love to build a Nas house here, like a small hotel. We'd love to build Nas daily presence as well, not just 1000 Media, the technology company. Like, I want to create jobs in Israel. And when we have enough money, my dream is to build an office in like the north, where you and I come from.
Amazing. Yeah. We'll do it. I think so I now invest, we also talked about
which is very good.
Thank you. Investing in the periphery of Israel.
Crazy.
In the new centers of Israel in the north and in the south, because Israel, we're sitting here looking over Tel Aviv, but we have to go to Arabe. We have to go to the Negev, and from there we can actually build. And I think it's from the grassroots.
Yes.
That's where we need to build, and that's where we will build together, because it's super important, and Israel can't stay in the center.
I 100% agree. Give me 3-4 years.
3-4 years. I love it. And then we're making it happen.
We're making it happen. Yeah. So number one is a podcast next year in Hebrew. And then in 3 to 4 years, we do an office or some business in the periphery.
I love it. Done. I love it. And now one more thing you're actually doing in Israel now is Kulanu. A bit of that, which is also super, super unique and connect to that.
I'm surprised when people know Kulanu. It's like really cool.
It's beautiful videos and impactful. Like I saw the one with the hostages, which was tremendous. What was the impetus for that?
So I'm a bit behind the scenes on this one, but I connected with a friend of mine, Daniel Levitsky, who's a Shark Tank.
Incredible human.
incredible human. He does all about peace. He's a billionaire in the United States. He's Jewish Mexican. And together we were like thinking like really when it comes to social media content it's just Al Jazeera. And it's a horrendous platform, that Al Jazeera thing. And we just need more content that brings people together, similar to Nas Daily. But I was like, man, I have a company. I cannot be making videos. So we said, let's build a whole new Nas Daily without me, but like similar style videos, bring people together. And so, together we're working on this. It has funding from many other donors. It's a nonprofit. And we are 25 people. We have a page in Arabic, a page in English, and a page in Hebrew. And the page in Arabic does not make you hate Israelis. It does not make you hate Jews. If anything, it humanizes Israelis. That is necessary. We, as Israelis, we gotta start talking in Arabic to social media. We gotta look to the right. We all look to the left. We look to America. We gotta look to our neighbors. So that's the point of that page. The Hebrew page is also meant to humanize Arabs, right? We are humans too. We're not just numbers. And then the English page is, for the Americans.
I love this. You have such a incredible like empathy and ability to really connect people through communities and creating them. And I want to talk.
I just have a lot of anger, if you haven't noticed.
I think you have anger that you're in Hebrew. We say "meta'el mekomot hanechonim," which I think is remarkable. And I want people like you to go into politics. And affect change. When are you going into politics?
That's a very funny question. The minute you said that, all I thought about was literally assassination. Can you imagine that? Yeah.
Wow.
When you said that statement, a picture flashed in my head: assassination.
Wow. From where? Which assassination, or any specific one?
Either part. I mean, but that being said, it is very exciting. I actually would consider it. In 5-10 years, it is extremely exciting because it's life and death, right? It's like the thing that decides if you're alive or dead is a politician and a doctor. I cannot be a doctor and you cannot be a doctor. Our grades are not very good.
It's true.
On this one, you want a doctor with high grades. I'm joking. But politicians, we can be. So it is interesting. Talk to me in 5 years.
How would you change politics? What do you think politics needed in order to change? Because I think you can bring a lot of you into it. But how do you see it?
I think, if you look at like every 100 years, there is an industry that attracts the smartest people, and then every other industry suffers. Like 500 years ago, this is a point from Yuval Noah Harari's book. Like I think 500 years ago, the smartest people went to religion. Then the Industrial Revolution came, and the smartest people went into like mechanical work. Then technology came, and the smartest people went to technology. So what suffered? Religion suffered. You don't have the smartest religious leaders these days. No offense to anybody. And politics suffered. We don't have the smartest politicians. And I think we need to another shift where government and politics become sexy again, and the smartest people migrate to politics. I think that's the shift that's happened in 10 years.
I love it. Making politics sexy again.
Yes. We need a Y Combinator. Somebody suggested that, Brian from Coinbase. A Y Combinator for politicians.
I love that. And for politics, I think what you said is so accurate. To make it more sexy.
Yeah.
To make people young,
yes,
go into politics and feel, because really that's where you can create a lot of change.
100%. And I wanna dip my toes in this. I don't know exactly how, but I do believe politicians today are just either not charismatic or just get rid of the fucking suit and tie. It looks fake. You look fake. You're not authentic. The minute you talk, I know it's not who you really are. So we just want to see who you really are. And I also do believe in forcing. And this is unpopular, especially to say in Israel. But I do believe that peace will be forced. It will not be voted on. Democracy will not choose peace, in my opinion. I think it has to be like, okay. Like I look at Abraham Accords. You think people in Morocco voted for peace with Israel? You think people in the UAE voted for peace? You know, it's forced. Now we like Jews. Okay. And all of a sudden everybody started to like Israel.
So you want to go back? So what form of government is the best
No,
form of government to you?
democracy is still very good, but we need like assertive democracy.
Assertive
Like you
democracy.
see it now with Trump.
So Trump, yeah.
I do like that assertive democracy. If the people choose a candidate, that candidate can do whatever he wants for or she wants for 3-4 years. Like Trump thing, awesome.
And what he said now about Gaza and all that.
I have a theory on that.
What's your theory?
My theory is that all of this is as a precursor for a peace with Saudi. So my theory is that he's saying the most outrageous things in the world so that Saudi can come and say, hey guys, we're making peace with Israel. And guess what? We made him not do this stuff. We will take care of Gaza. And everyone's like, oh my God, thank you, Saudi. You're so amazing. So they're not going to be like, oh, Saudi, you're terrible. Why are you making peace with Israel? It'd be like, thank you for saving Palestine. And in the process, you made peace. I hope that's the strategy.
I love it. And forcefulness.
Yes.
Going back to that, you are one of to me, the most brilliant community builders that there is out there. But what I love about your community building strategy is that you don't just do it on the digital space.
Yes.
You also do it in the physical space.
Yes.
What is your advice for people that want to build communities, and how do you do it right to strike the right balance? Because I think that's super important.
The answer is one letter. What is the letter? One alphabet letter. Let's see if you can guess this.
I know.
T.
T?
Capital T. Capital T. That's the answer. Capital T. You have to go wide with content. You go really wide with social media content, videos, 1-minute videos, fun. And then you go deep in one category. That creates a T. Your strategy should be a T. Something I go really wide in and something I go very deep in. So my T is Nas Daily makes a lot of videos, gets hundreds of millions of views with very shallow impact. And then I go very deep impact with 1,000 people at a time for one full day at a NAS summit. And then I do another super deeper impact at a NAS house retreat where people come and stay and sleep for 7 days at NAS house. Right? For me, that is impact that is deep. So you just need to have both. And most people either only have one or the other. Terrible. Most nonprofits, what do? They go super deep with 10 people. No impact. Most tech companies, what do? They go super wide with 100 million users. Not good enough. You need both.
I love that. So the T.
T.
The big T.
Yes.
You did a video that really struck me. Which I really thought was courageous, but a month ago, about why I ended my career. Where you describe yourself as going through the journey from an underdog, and we talked a little bit about the underdog here, a hero, and now a villain. Tell me about that video transformation and where did that come from?
So look, what do we have? 7 million followers. I estimate 300 million people know about Nas Daily in the world. Maybe 300 million. 300 million, I think, love us. I think 100 million hate the shit out of me. I think I have 100 million haters.
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, and it's awesome. And so I think I wanted to like address that. You know, my whole content, I talked to the 300 million people that are loving Nas Daily. In that video, I wanted to talk to the 100 million people that hate Nas Daily. And, you know, I think the average person, listening to this, mefached, they're scared. They're scared of putting themselves on social media because of the hate. Because those powerful minority are extremely, extremely powerful. So I did that. And, you know, one thing I realized is you cannot make 300 million friends without 100 million enemies. That's the way the world works.
You have a lot of courage. Where did that come from? Do you always, going back to those days in the village in Arabe, do you think that was there?
It's funny you say I have a lot of courage because I'm too scared to drive because I don't want to get in a car accident. Like in some things, I'm a real wuss. Like, I'm really scared of driving, scared of scootering. When you told me come scooter here, I was like, no, no way, Jose, I'm too scared. I'm scared of medicine. I'm scared of like getting a blood test. But when it comes to these things, like, I don't know. It doesn't scare me as much. So this courage is, maybe it's just stupidity in disguise. I don't know that this is going to be so bad. I
Was
think
it always that way?
my courage comes because I'm really, really angry. The truth of the matter is, I'm just like angry at the way the world works, and I'm like, it's my FU. Like, somebody's gotta do something, and I get really anxious when nobody is in control and things are going to anarchy mode. I need somebody to step in. So I was angry because I saw this narrative saying, oh, like, Israel sucks. Like, after October 7th, I was like, this is what I think is the truth. So I only am passionate about what I believe is my truth, and I say it. That's it.
And when you have that truth and you come to put out content, do you follow a specific like creative process in your mind? How does like your entrepreneurial vibe create content? What I want to get into Nusair's head. Think how does that go from there into creating a video or whatever, putting out the content?
So it has to be universal enough. The idea has to be enough people should be interested in it. Then I only think about the title. Title is the most important thing. And most titles are like why and how and what are the best titles. Why I don't sleep 8 hours a day. Why don't you sleep 8 hours a day? How I made $1 million. How'd you make $1 million? The world's shortest man. Oh, how short is he? So it's like extreme stuff or the why, how, what. That's how we think about the world. Why does this work like this? How does this work like this? And then you make the video from that. Yeah, and like really that's the beginning. If you can think of a really good title, everything becomes easier.
I think it's a great tip. I think that's, in a way, that's the essence.
That's the essence.
Right? Figure out the essence and flowing from there.
This is why I want to know what is the article of the Israel Hayom article. What's the title of it?
It's the clickbait.
What's the clickbait? Because most news organizations, unlike Nas Daily, choose negative titles. Nas Daily, I have 100 million haters. I think this is going to be the title of this article. But, with Nas Daily, we try to make it more positive titles that are like extreme. For Tel Aviv, for example, I came here to Tel Aviv and I went to Anastasia restaurant yesterday, a vegan restaurant. And I was like, oh, it reminded me of the video we made, the world's most vegan city. Oh, what is it?
I remember that video.
Exactly. And so now, if I say this is the title, what do we need to do for this video? Go to 5 vegan restaurants, show a lot of food, and say how cool it is, and say this is Tel Aviv. That's it.
In a way, it might seem the most complex, but it's the most simple.
Yes.
It's keep it simple, stupid.
That's it.
Like that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
And from there, we're going in and we're creating. And I think a lot of times, people have a thought about, talking about before, launching, and how does it need to be perfection, and creating it in a complex vibe. But in the end, the more you keep it simple, the better it is, the better, more people can digest, and the better people can understand. And I think you're a live proof to that.
Yeah. I mean, I live simple. I have 20 t-shirts, 2 pants, 2 shoes. That's my life. So in a way, simplicity is this easiest way through.
Many entrepreneurs see failure as a part of their journey to success. What's been your biggest failure? And how does it shape maybe your approach today?
So look, with Nas Daily, I mean, I made 1,000 videos, but like 600-700 of them failed. I only had 300 successes. 300 videos did really well. And most people remember 3. So I really had 997 failures. I don't believe like it's like you could call it I failed, or you can call it I pivoted. It's the same thing. Like, okay, let's say I started Nas Academy as a technology company, and then we started it, and I saw that it didn't work. It's not a viable business model as a technology company. So in a way, as a technology company that failed, Nas Academy still does classes and teaches people. But then I pivoted Nas Academy to Nas.io, a technology platform. And Nas.io now is growing really well. And it's a real nice technology company. So was Nas Academy a failure, or was it a pivot to Nas.io?
I think it was a pivot. I think it was
Exactly. So as long as we're alive, there's no such thing as failure. And even my relationship, I had a 6-year relationship that failed, right? Was that a failure, or did that grow my heart and my soul and teach me how to become a better boyfriend in the next stage, which now I'm very happy in my next relationship. So that was not a failure. That was a growth of the heart. Awesome. So as long as you're alive, I don't believe in failure.
I love the growth of the heart, by the way, and your new incredible girlfriend. A question for like how it's an Israeli question, because we go deep into
Yeah,
love and whatnot.
Do it in Hebrew.
Do it in Hebrew. But how is how does she feel to be in that spotlight, and how is the relationship? Because it looks, and you said it before, it's the one. How do you know it's the one?
So that's a very hard question. Let's just say dating a social media creator is not easy. Dating me is not easy, and I think we should all realize that. Dating somebody that's traveling the world, surrounded with love from men and women, can be a little bit hard. Dating somebody so public is hard. So I give her all the credit for coming along for the journey.
And she's also a content creator,
yeah,
right?
But she's always been private. She makes content about other people. She doesn't make about her life necessarily. So now, but she's been really, like, it's the first time she's ever shared about her relationship on social media. So I really love her for that. She's incredible. How do you know that she's the one?
We're giving advice here for all forms of life, my friend.
So I mean, yeah, this is interesting. The way I think about it is like, yeah, she's beautiful, she's smart, she's talented, she's funny. That's aside. For me, the one is somebody who looks at life and says, I have 80 years. Here's what I want to do in those 80 years. And then I took her answer and I compared it with my answer. And I was like, well, we have the same answer. Let's go. That's the one. Because that answer was very specific and we really wanted to do the same thing. We have the same interests. So our vision and the values are the same. Yes, we have the sexual attraction. Yes, we have the physical attraction. Yes, you have the intellectual attraction. But I think what matters is, what do you want to do in these 80 years? And something, I saw this on Instagram. It said, relationships are not like, they're not sex. They're not trips. They're not any of that. Relationships is just a long conversation. Marriage is a long conversation. The question is, who do you want to have a long conversation with? Because you and I can have a nice conversation for 2 hours, but I love you a lot, but I cannot talk to you every day for 10 years. Because that's a lot.
It's probably true.
It's probably true. I love you, but you can only do that with your wife. And so the longest conversation in my life, I'm going to have with Asia. And I'm excited by that.
I'm excited for you. By the way, is there anything that you do keep private?
No, I only keep private other people's stuff, but my stuff is all public. So in a way that's like, if something relates to her, I'll keep private. But if it's about me, you can ask me any question and it's public.
I love it.
You want to know a controversial thing?
What do I want to know?
A controversial thing?
Yes, of course I want to know controversial
thing. You want to
things.
make this podcast a little bit more angry people?
Yes, please.
If you have something to hide, you're a terrorist.
If you have something to hide, you're a terrorist. That's a good quote. Do you want that to be the quote?
No, please not. I just want people to rile up, maybe.
I love it. company. It's really, no, I think it's really interesting what you said before about the company aspect, because I know you, like, the company requires creativity, but also managing time, budgets, resources. How do you balance your genius creative work with the actual practical sides of managing a business?
So right now, I am not a creator. It's important to say that. I am a business builder. All I think about every day when I wake up is how do I hire? How do I fire? How do I make money? How do I save money? That's all I think about. So it's hard to balance both. The that's the so the way I see it is for 8 years I built Nas Daily and I made it work. Now with 1000 Media and One Nas.io, like with 1000 Media, we'll make it work for others. Let's build a business out of this where the people that help me build Nas Daily are helping build other people on their social media, build a Nas Daily for other companies. That's my focus now. So in a way, I have a sole focus, which is manage the creatives, and the creatives do the creation for others.
How has that shift been for you?
It's really hard. Extremely hard because it took 5 years to do that. Because one day I'm like, oh, I'm a creator. No, I'm an entrepreneur. No, today I'm a creator. Tomorrow I'm an entrepreneur. In 2025, I've decided I am not a creator. I am an entrepreneur. And in 2024, I was just like about to make that jump. It took me 4 years to make that jump.
And you feel content with it?
I do, because a creator company is an upside down pyramid. When the creator dies, the whole thing crumbles. An entrepreneur's company is a normal pyramid. The entrepreneur CEO is on top, but even if you die, the pyramid is still there. I want to build a normal pyramid, not an upside down pyramid.
It's an interesting way of looking at things.
Yeah.
I really also like the fact, and I think it's for people listening, like, to understand when you need to make the shift, to understand that you can move between realities.
Yeah.
And that you're not only a content creator.
Have you done that? Tell me about how you've done that.
I've done it a lot. I think about it a lot. And I think I've gone, my career has gone from public sector to social entrepreneurship to philanthropy to starting the shared scooter business in Israel to now investments. And the reason also I'm asking that is because when you shift realities, the first time shifting reality is the hardest, because you think you're one thing.
Yeah.
But people don't understand that a lot of the things that you have in one reality, you can transform towards another reality.
Yes.
And once you do that 2 or 3 times, you understand there's many realities.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And I think it's actually interesting, we don't know what we don't know.
It's like when they say you have one life. I take offense to that. You have multiple lives. You have 9 lives, like a cat. And every 7 years of your life, you could have one full life. So I think of my life in chapters. The first 10 years is kid, then student, then 10 years of creator, then now 10 years of entrepreneur, and then another 10 years of maybe government, and then God knows what. So that's the chapters in my life that I'm designing, and I think everybody should do that same exercise.
I love it. I think the designing is great, and also willing to pivot.
Yeah.
As well, designing, having a plan, knowing where you're going, but also having the ability at each time of in that path and journey, saying, okay, this is now what I need to do, not to be stuck.
Yeah.
In your conventional wisdom.
Totally. Don't get married, basically.
Don't get married to your ideas.
That's exactly what I meant.
Don't get married. Don't get married
but
to your ideas.
I wanted to be facetious.
I love it. So we're now towards the end of of the
We
podcast.
just started.
I know, but I have like an hour because then you told me you don't want to talk to me for more than 2 hours.
I said for 10 years.
For 10 years. It's true. It's those are right.
You wanted me to be honest.
I love the honesty, my friend. I love it. And towards the end of the podcast, we have in each episode an area called Tip Tipa, where we ask our guest to give advice to their younger self. So, what would you say to your younger Nusayr when you were in Arabe?
You know, this question it's good when you regret where you are now, but there's nothing I want to say to that young kid because I'm happy with the result. So I would say to that young kid, keep going. Shkoyach.
Shkoyach.
I would tell him shkoyach.
I love it. Tell him shkoyach. No, but it's an interesting thing that you bring up, because in the end, if you wouldn't have done what you've done, it's like the movie Revolving Doors.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No.
You should watch it with Gwyneth Paltrow.
Interesting.
And in that movie, she basically comes. There's two scenes. The first one, she makes it to the tube, and she hops on the tube.
Oh
The
my
second one,
God.
she can't open up the door,
And her life changes.
and her life changes completely.
No.
Revolving Doors.
I'm definitely gonna watch that video.
Watch it, and that's basically what you said.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't be sitting here right now if you had changed something along the way.
100%. So shkoyach.
So I think you have to end. You have a great door, and a great path, and a great journey. And I'm excited to see what is to come.
Thank you.
And I want to say thank you for being here with me.
Thank you, my friend. This was really fun, and I'm happy we're still friends 15 years later, and I'm excited for your next chapter. When you buy a business in Arabe, let me know.
We're doing it, bro. We're making it happen. So תודה רבה לנוסייר, תודה רבה לכם שהייתם איתנו בעוד פרק. אני רוצה לבקש שתעשו לייק, תגובה, share, מה שתרצו כדי לעזור ולהרים את החיים כסטארט-אפ ולהביא אותו לעוד קהילות. ואני רוצה להגיד תודה גם לצוות של ישראל היום, לעורכת התוכן מורן פררו, למפיקים גיל משאל ושי מרטינובסקי, ולצוות הטכני עדי לוי ומיכאל וקסל. תודה רבה.
תודה רבה.